Hey guys, Michelle with Swim Power Pit Bull Rescue here with another how-to video. Today's video we are going to go over setting up a wire crate to try to stop the crate busters. A lot of our foster dogs that come in have never been in a crate before, and sometimes our adoptive dogs have moments where they get anxiety and do their best to get out of their crates. So I'm going to go over some tips and tricks that we've learned over the years for how to pit bull proof your wire crates. I have here a selection of the different tools and items that we like to use when we're securing crates. Some of them we use more often than others. A few of these items, you're probably wondering why we have shoelaces. This is one of the oddball items that could help you if you have a crate busting dog. Basically we've got cable ties. We buy these by the 100. These are rated for 75 pounds. They're fairly thick so they can stand up to a little bit. You're going to want a side cutters or a scissors to trim up the zip ties. You're going to be using a lot of zip ties, by the way, so 100 might not be enough. Carabiners. Whenever we talk about carabiners, there's two different styles of carabiners that we use. The one that you find most often are these nice colorful ones. You know, everybody's giving them away. Obviously these are from, one's from a church, one's from the National Guard. And then you've got these heavier duty ones that I actually picked up at Menards. I actually like the heavier duty ones because they're stiffer, they're firmer, the dogs are less likely to bend them, they last longer, the springs in them are more heavy duty. These are nice in a pinch if you don't have anything else, but the springs tend to give out quite often, and if a dog happens to get a hold of this, they bend like butter. They don't hold up very well. They're more of a visual deterrent than an actual deterrent, so something to keep in mind. Some other things, chain quick links. These are 5/8 inch, and all they are is, again, these are from Menards, same section that you can get these from. You just can screw them shut and open. Something that I have found is really handy is bolt snaps. These are 5/8 inch bolt snaps, and I use them in the same method that I'm going to use the carabiners, and I'll explain exactly why I like them so much better later on when you can actually see it. Here's just a different version of the bolt snap. Again, really heavy, stiff spring to it. Or if you've got a leash that somebody chewed off, there's a really cheap bolt snap too without having to buy it. Sometimes when we get creative, we use vice grips. Not always, and that's actually a very expensive option for securing a crate. And you're going to want a good drill. And if you really want to get creative, occasionally we do use tie-down straps. So all of these items, as I go along here, you'll see how we've used them, why we've used them in certain situations, and it'll give you an idea of just something to look for. Sometimes the best option for securing your crate is to see how your dog gets out and then just walk around the hardware store and see what you can find to fix it, stop him from getting out. I've got here a 42-inch kennel, and it's in the folded state, so this is the state that they come in when they come out of the box. And they're very easy to set up. One thing to keep in mind is some of them have these latches like this to hold the sides down so that it doesn't unfold itself all the time. So if it's not opening up, look for a couple of those. This one, you just fold it up and over and lift it. And then it's just a matter of pulling up the sides. Back. And now when you're putting these together, something to keep in mind is there's these hooks on the side. you want to make sure that the bar from the end actually gets into the hooks. Sometimes they're a little bit off kilter so they don't get in, so you have to pinch it and get it in. On the top, this one's got 2 hooks to the back, so you're going to push the top down, and then depending on how strong your dog is or how intent they are on getting out and how often you want to move the crate, this middle one here, it is a pain to get up on, and I'm obviously not going to have the leverage to do it here, but that just goes to show you how well this can hold it if you have this one over as well. So you want to make sure that these are all on the correct side. Now, first thing that we're going to do is, obviously the obvious weak point to these is first going to be the doors, but we'll get to that later. But right around the edges here, where these come together, dog gets a hold of this and starts pulling. It's not going to take much to pull this in, throw their shoulder against the side, and then this pops out. Then they just got to push a little bit and they get out. A lot of times that's where the dog is going to get out. So to do this, obviously, we need to keep this joint from moving. That's where your zip ties come in. And this is why we're going to be using a lot of them. You're basically just going to start from one side, and about every 3-4 inches, we're just going to put another zip tie. You want to keep an eye on where the cross wires are, because these will slide up and down. So if you put 2 of them here, you really only put 1 on, because they'll eventually slide down and they'll only be holding here. So kind of 1 at each cross wire is a good rule of thumb. You can put 1 through each of these if you want to. And then when going across the top, use the same theory. You know, from the sides here, this corner is fairly weak. There's not much holding here. So you want to really snap that in. You can probably do another one here. And just keep going all the way around the crate. So I've got all my zip ties around. You see I've got about 5 on each side. You can do more if you want. It's always better to err on the side of caution and use too many. This is where your side cutters come in. You can just trim these up. You don't want to get them too short so that some pressure will pop them loose, but this will also get rid of these nice tails. It's nice to have an extra dog bowl to throw this in as well. So just go around. You can use the scissors as well. I like the side cutters just because they're nice and firm. As you can see, it cleans up the look of the crate. People just glancing at the crate don't always realize how reinforced it is when you have these on here and trimmed up. It's very unobtrusive. So the next thing to consider on the front of the crate is loop this to the side and pull this off to the side a little bit. And you see we've got this tray holder right here where this comes down so that you can easily slide the tray out for cleaning. Super handy. Also the best place for a dog to get out. 90% of our dogs, when they start fighting the kennel, they grab onto the kennel right here and start pulling up. Obviously, once you get this loose here, I pull the tray out, let you see underneath. The bottom of this crate is much less reinforced than the rest of the crate is. So you go in. So you see where we've got 3 bars in between here, there's nothing. So if they manage to pull this up, a lot of times they'll pop up the tray because the trays are plastic. They'll break the trays into pieces, and then they'll start grabbing onto these and your flooring and everything else, and that's when you really get a mess. So we want to secure this so that they can't get at this down here, and we want the best options for keeping that tray in place. So what we're going to do is I'm going to slide this tray back in, and first thing is we're going to take our drill and actually put a couple holes in the tray. If you have a crate wetter, it's going to be a little annoying because now your tray isn't waterproof, but in the long run, if you don't have to replace the tray, it's all the better. Look where the wires are underneath, and on either side you want to choose probably 2 spots. And just drill a hole through the tray on either side of the wire. Alright, and I put one over here. Again, if you want to err on the side of caution, you can do it on these 2 bars as well. From here, we'll grab some more of our zip ties, and we'll actually come up from underneath on one side of the bar, through the tray, and over the top. And just zip tie it. Nice and tight. So, and the nice thing is when it's underneath here, once we trim it off, you can slide it up to the side and you don't even notice it hardly. Do the same on the other side. Over. Alright. So right there, clean up a little bit of the plastic. All of a sudden our tray got a whole lot less easy to pull up. So even if they get this pulled up, they can't get at the edges of this tray to start shredding it as quickly. Again, if you put it here, we've got a little bit of give here, so if you wanted to put 2 more there, that'd be fine. There's also not really enough clearance here for them to easily get their teeth around it to snip the zip ties, because some of them get smart about zip ties and learn how to break them. So they're bound to last for a while. That's not the only thing that we do to keep that tray in place. We're going to put the tray stay back into place here, snap it in, and we'll actually use a zip tie around here. Again, if you go out to buy zip ties, don't buy the 25 pack, get 2 100 packs. Put 2 on there just in case. Obviously these will slide around a bit more, but if they do get one off, they'll leave the other one alone. Or you still have a backup. Slide it down so that it's not any sharp edges. And then we're also going to go from underneath here around the bottom of the crate here. So probably 4 of these, 2 on either side. Just hold it in place. You can decide where you want the ends, like if you want them underneath or on the front, whatever. And this is just one more thing. If they do snip the zip ties inside there, then these will help keep that tray in place. Go around the outside here so we can use the stay bar. Alright. Turn them up. There you go. So just in securing the outside of the front of the crate, we've already used 15, 19, 20, 21, 24, 25 zip ties. And that's minimum zip ties. So you can already see why I keep saying is more zip ties the better. Alright. The other places, let's finish with our zip ties. The back of the crate, make a mess. You don't want to forget about the back of the crate. Yes, the dog's going to be more prone to fight the crate near the door where they go in and out of the crate because they know they can get out. But some of them, once they figure out they can't get out that area because you've reinforced it, will try other areas. Again, these sides here are going to be the weakest area on the back of this crate. So you're going to do the same thing that we did on the front of the crate and just use zip ties all the way around. We've got all the zip ties on, we've got them tightened up, and just quick, flip through them. These you can leave a little bit longer because usually this side is against the wall or something, so. So that kind of takes care of all the places that zip ties can really be beneficial in a crate. They're the main areas. We're always going to tell someone to zip tie a crate. Obviously, I've still only got 5 on a side on these. This side's actually got 7 of them. So that's going to be a stronger side than this one. And then across the top. Again, this one's got that little bar in the middle, so if I really wanted this to stay put, I would pop this over. This is a heavy enough gauge crate, though, that it's a pain to pop it over for me, which means it is for the dog, too. So, alright. Next thing to consider is doors. This model here has 2 doors. It has one on the side and one on the front. You're going to have to decide where your crate is going to be going. Is it going to be slid between a bed and the wall, so you're only using this side? Or are you going to be putting it flat up against the wall somewhere, so you're using this side? The reason we're thinking of this is because after the sides here, these doors are the weakest point in your crate. So whichever door you're not going to be using, you're going to want to secure like crazy. If you know you're never going to use the door, or at least it's going to be a few months before you use the door, use the zip ties and just like 1 every 2 bars here. So there'd probably be like 8 or 9 of them going across the top, like 7 of them going down here, and then 8 or 9 across the bottom again. Something so that even when they push on it, they cannot move it, so they don't even think about going for it. If you are going to possibly be using the door from time to time, or if the crate's going to be folded and you're going to be traveling with it, so sometimes you use the side door, sometimes the front door, and you don't want to take all the zip ties off all the time, that's where the quick links can come in handy, because you can just slip these around and screw them on. And they just screw right on. Put about as many on here as you would zip ties. Maybe only, just again, because the more of them the better. I have had dogs that learned how to unscrew these. So if you have more of them on there, it's a whole lot more quick links to unscrew before they actually get out of the crate. Whereas if you only have 3 on there, it's only a few minutes before they get out. The other option, is Carabiner Clips. There's multiple sizes of Carabiner Clips. Obviously, here's 2 different sizes. One's a bit smaller. You want to keep an eye on how big of a distance that you need to get the clip around, because sometimes the smaller clip can't get around the bigger distances. Like, it works for right here, so that's a good spot for it. But sometimes, especially on the front along the bottom, they don't always fit, so then you'll want a little bit bigger carabiner. The one consideration with these is a dog that likes to push on things. Obviously, this quick link gives that dog almost an inch worth of play to push on that door. If he does pop these latches, he's still got an inch to be able to push on this. Same thing with these Same thing with the carabiners. They have a good 2 inches, 3 inches, however long. So these don't hold the doors really secure. So a dog that starts pushing on this and realizes there's some give, they'll push harder. I've actually come to find that bolt snaps, you know, just the regular clips on the end of leashes, are a great option. You see, there's only, what, 3/4 inch to an inch of play in here, and most of that would be taken up by these bars. You got to be a little bit creative about how you put them on. Obviously on this side I'm not going to be able to get it around this way because there's about a 1/2 inch between these two bars. However, you see these bars line up, so it's just a matter of snapping it right there. And even with my door unlatched, if I just put 3 of these bolt snaps in, try anyhow, there's no give. So you start using them up here and on the side. It's really quick. It's even quicker than the quick links to get off, and it also holds it steadier. The only reason that you would maybe go quick links over bolt snaps, the bolt snaps tend to be about $3.50 a piece from the hardware store, whereas the quick links you're looking more at about 75 cents to $1 a piece. So these are more cost effective, but again, if you have a very determined dog, sometimes spending a couple extra bucks in the beginning will save you a lot of money down the road. If you aren't going to be using this door very often, or you're going to figure out how to set up the crates so you're going to use one door or the other at all times, again, zip ties, zip ties, zip ties. And I'll actually put some on here so you can see what that looks like. It's going to look a lot like the front door did, but we're going to do even more of them just because a lot of times it's a known exit point to the dog, so they'll try harder to get out. Alright, we've finished putting zip ties on the side door of this crate. As you can see, it's about one every other section here. There is no give to this door anymore. You see, these latches aren't even secured, and this door isn't going anywhere. These zip ties, we've basically made this a solid wall panel, so there's going to be much less chance of a dog escaping through the side here, especially when we aren't using the door anyhow. Now on the door that we actually do have to use, again, the ability to get in and out of this door fairly quickly and cost effectively is a major consideration. Obviously, you can zip tie it just like the side door once the dog's in, but that's going to be a lot of zip ties every day, and it's going to take you 10 minutes to put the zip ties on, and it's going to take you 10 minutes to get them all cut off before you can get your dog out, and it's just not time effective. So this is where, again, the Carabiner Clips are a good option. Especially for dogs that they might push on the gate a bit, but if you have enough of these, usually we say 4 down these sides. You know, you're going to put one up there, one there, and if I had enough clips, there'd be another one right here, and probably one right here.
I'm rolling, good.
So when you're doing the Carabiner Clips on the front doors, again, you want probably 4 down this side, 1, 2, 3, and then you put another one here. And if you continue with the carabiners, probably another 3 across the top, because you see I can pull this open. There's a gap large enough for my hand to get through, and I'm not pulling very hard. So a dog's going to get through there. And the same thing, 3 along the bottom here to secure the bottom, especially if you happen to forget a latch, so they can secure there. Again, quick links are another option for here if you want. They're a little more inventive to get them around and get them latched on, just because these don't line up quite as well as the ones on the side. The door is a little bit off kilter from the wiring. And my go-to anymore, the bolt snap, just a whole lot quicker. Snap it on. And go. See, it's nice and quick. Yes, $3.50 a piece for a decent bolt snap. These are 5/8 inch bolt snaps, but they save me a lot of time, a lot of effort, and they've got less give than the quick link or the carabiner. Also a lot quicker to get off, just in case you do need to get in there fast. So we've gone over a lot of the main things that we use as foster parents and with our adoptive families for how to secure a crate. Obviously there's a lot more options out there. Just walk around your local hardware store and just look at things and think outside the box. Some of the creative items that we've come up with along the lines based on need. Sometimes a hardware store isn't open and you need to secure the side of your crate. So shoelaces are a great option. Use them like zip ties. Tie it on one end here and then just weave it all the way through and up and around until you hit the end of the shoelace. Tie it on the other end. They might chew one end off or the other end, but for the most part they can't get at the shoelace itself. It's too tight in the corner. And if they do get the end off, they've still got a lot of shoelace to unwind before there's actually enough give in the side for them to do anything. Another option that foster families have come up with very tenacious dogs is smart straps, shipping straps, tie-down straps, whatever you want to call them, plus plywood. Get the dog into the crate, put the plywood on the sides, and then use the straps to ratchet it down tight. With the plywood on the outside, the dog can't get their nose in between the bars to be able to grab onto the bars and pull. And the straps really hold that plywood in place, so you don't have to worry about them trying to shred the plywood as well. So if you have any questions on any of the techniques that we've gone over here, just feel free to send us a message through our website. It's pitrescue.weebly.com, or find us on Facebook and shoot us a message there. Or if you have any creative ideas for keeping your crate crasher from going through the crate, let us know. We're always looking for new ideas, new options, and we would love to try a few out. We definitely have some dogs that we can try them out on. So thanks for watching, and join us again next time.